You can wear them if you want. Either way.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself. Let me take a break. Yeah. My wife likes me better. Lately, I like you better without those. So I'm going to say this is for you.
Okay. I like it. All right, cool. All right, guys. Welcome. I'm here with Scott Andrade of Ventura Float Center. We're going to talk about, Scott, how are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good. How are you, man?
Very good.
Good to see you again.
Pleasure to see you as well. I like the lacquer glasses. I hear that that's a sharp look for you.
You know, I have very few sharp looks. Most of them are dull.
I like it.
So, I'm going to rock this interview without shades. We'll see. We'll let Mr. Hunter S. Thompson here be the only one in the room with shades or specs.
As it should be.
He looks mean.
Yeah,
he's disgusting.
He looks a little surly.
Yeah, surly. There you go.
Imagine he's discussing Dick Nixon. Anyway, all right, let's get started here. So, what is flotation? Floating tanks, for those who don't know.
Well, commonly known or historically known as sensory deprivation tanks. I mean, no, that's. But I'm kind of getting away from that.
Okay.
Really well. The sensory deprivation. The deprivation part, I think. And I get this too. As you know, when people come here to the Ventura Float Center, or actually I would imagine any float center, you get an idea. And have you floated before? You know much about it. And when they don't know, this seems to be something that they are most uncomfortable with. The deprivation.
Sure.
And you can, I'm sure that Nathan's going to post a picture.
Yeah,
or,
many.
of the tank, as he's been here. Yeah. You've been here. Yeah. But if you look at the design of the tank, there is a door on one end, but you are inside. And there are options to have the door propped open partially or totally. You have an option for light, sound, but the deprivation part is what seems to throw people off.
Sure.
So I'm getting more towards it is what it is, being that, but you're floating. So I like to really, really bring it down to its basic, that you're soaking in Epsom salts. Same way that people have been soaking their feet and their limbs, affected limbs for quite some time. We can go back to the Dead Sea, which precedes Christ by 73 years, right? But I tell people floating is not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. But the effect that how you can feel, the feeling that you get from it, that can be a big deal. Yeah. Because if you think about it, and until you float, this is something that you can't really, there's no point of reference or anything to compare it to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Zero gravity, but in water. Mm-hmm. And you sleep. You can sleep if you allow yourself to.
Let me cut you real quick because we actually haven't described it exactly to people. So it sounds a little bizarre. You're in this closed tank. It's got Epsom salt water. Can you describe it a little bit? It's actually not very claustrophobic, I find.
Well, good. I'm glad you said that because you actually floated.
Yeah.
A couple times.
Many times.
Yeah, and you've referred people here too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a great process. I think everyone should do it.
Well, if nothing else, it's just to try it.
Yeah. Because
you'll be amazed how many people have tried it and then say, wow, I never knew. I got a call from someone today. They floated for the first time last night. She called me today. So for reference here, we're on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she floated Tuesday night. She's already booked Saturday.
Nice.
This Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. A few days later. And within that, she stated that she would like to continue this at least weekly.
No.
She just heard about this last week, and then a barbecue came in, so it's been a really quick process for a really cool person. But she had no idea. She mentioned, I had no idea that it would affect me this way and that I would feel this way.
Yeah. Can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's come back and define it in a second because we cut that.
Sure.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
So what are some of the effects that people have had? So it's about 90 minutes to 2 hours, give or take?
Well, your first session will be about 75 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
With the freedom to emerge and come out of the tank at any point you would like.
Yeah, you're not locked in by any means.
No,
you can open the door.
Yeah. Oh, no, and some people think that.
Yeah.
Definitely not locked in. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, you're free to come and go.
Some of the effects. Let's touch on physical first, and then we'll go into mental a little bit.
Sure.
Because I think the mental side is really what's probably the most dynamic. Physically, you can probably tack that down pretty.
Was that what was for you?
Yeah.
The physical was.
Yeah, I noticed a significant physical effect, and it's pretty predictable. I find that my back, I have some low back stiffness, some aching in the shoulder, just from being a fool.
Old? How old are you?
We don't
I'll
have
be
to go into
51
that.
in a few weeks. I'll be 51 in a few weeks.
I feel you.
You're a kid.
No, I am. All right. So I've done some stupid
Some
things
damage,
to give myself some aches and pains, and I found that just the lack of gravity really helped my lower back to really improve. I noticed a lot of when there's no gravity holding you down, all the tension you have is your own, right? And I was very easily able to see where certain parts of my body were very tense and restricted. It was cool. It was very neat. So it gave me a lot of ideas on how to work after I got out of the tank, and it was really effective. So yeah, that's kind of where it was for me physically. I know that the Epsom salt itself has certain effects.
Sure does.
So yeah, can you just kind of go into basically what the physical benefits to
Physical
floating
benefits are what you described, definitely, because the other thing is that being in zero gravity, your body and your spine specifically is allowed to go to its natural state to where, I know people that sleep on hard floors, okay, and we'll sleep in a mattress. Won't sit in a chair because these things can be damaging, like anything, if you overstay your time in either of these positions.
Yeah.
It's not good as far as you're not allowing your spine to be. So how do you get your spine in natural alignment without and adjustments are okay, but without adjustments? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this is the only thing, but this is what I know about this is that it will go to its natural alignment, natural position. Put it that way too. But then besides that, you actually have the Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate, which in developed countries such as ours, we don't get enough of that. That's one thing that we're deficient in. And you would need to eat literally a platter of leafy green organic vegetables, but primarily greens, right? And probably more than a couple handfuls of organic nuts, okay, to receive the intake of magnesium that we need daily. Now,
dermal magnesium, like through the skin, is one of the more effective ways to take it in.
Right.
I wish I could realize that.
That's what you experienced, right?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure that I noticed much of a difference there, but I take a lot of vitamins and stuff, and magnesium is something that I kind of prioritize just because, like you said, we don't really get it in our diets anymore.
So you're saying you didn't notice it or you didn't measure it?
In terms of my difference physically coming out of the tank.
Yeah.
I would say the main thing I noticed were, it's hard to say that because the mind and body are so closely connected. You know what I mean? So some of the
they affect each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So some of the relaxation I felt, I attributed it to having been in the tank in kind of solitude and quiet.
Right.
But who knows to say what physiologically was happening as well.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to measure it.
That's
very cool to measure it.
Before and after. We haven't. That's a good one to bring up. I should probably do it myself just to know. But then I'm so different from you, from him to her, from them. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing right there. So when you come in here, it depends. What do you need?
No.
Do you need the mind? Do you need the body? Do you need both? And so I'm sure it's been done back in the day of John Lilly and he's crazy.
Can we touch on him real quickly?
Let's get back to the body real quick.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, it's not measurable. As far as us just coming in and floating, it's all feeling, right? Mm-hmm. How do you feel when you leave? Mm-hmm. But one thing that you probably most likely happened to you, but wasn't measurable, that maybe it's not that you didn't acknowledge it, but it was just something you couldn't measure. Once again, without overbeating that, was that the magnesium sulfate, Epsom salts, same thing. Will lower your blood pressure, okay? And give you an overall feeling of calm, even peace and bliss, let's say, right? I think this is what might have happened to this girl last night by what she was trying to describe to me. But it's funny when people come out of a session, and it doesn't have to be just the first one. It could be, and it still happens to me too, where you learn that it's better not to analyze how you're feeling. It's better to go with it because what happens is you let it process, and it could take minutes, hours, days. Cool when it takes days because these little revelations and feelings they still come later and later, and then you start going through the process of, that's what that meant. Yeah. Well, I'm seeing something out in the world now. That's what, somehow I was in sync with that. It was going to happen, but I didn't know why or what, and now I see why, or, so the body connected to the mind, but still more in the body right now. You will receive that that intake, then infusion of the Epsom salts, which will lower your blood pressure and pretty much just bring you an overwhelming of calm. The same way that, once again, your feet, you're talking about your whole being, right? Because your feet, you get that bucket, and I've said this many times, so for those of you that heard this already, but it's true. You fill up the bucket with warm water, hot water, hopefully if you can stand it, and you take it to your favorite chair with your book or your remote, whatever you're going to do. But the optimum temperature, being stored at room temperature now, is going to degrade. And I don't know however long it takes, but usually between 10 minutes to half an hour, you're in cold water now. But in here, it's controlled temperature. I take it up a little bit higher than, say, the norm or the industry standard of 93.5. Probably 94.7 to 95.5, depending. I had someone earlier, last night, and she let me know she had body issues. So for her, I cranked it up to about 96 something, not 97, but say mid 96, because she needed that. She had trauma to her back and her neck, but she's the same one that says I'm doing this at least once a week. To go with a massage and yoga. And she's young. She's in her early 30s, but, so the body, she came in for the body and definitely got that. But what she didn't expect was the mind. And she got that, so,
perfect segue.
Yeah, beautiful visions, okay? The visions, And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter. I probably give, close to a couple hundred floats, right? Because it's here, and I'm here, right? So I try every day, but if not, minimum 4 days a week. I don't try, it's just the way it happens. But I haven't had nearly the mind experiences that first timers come in here and just, wow, they can't believe it.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because there's no distractions. And when your mind is calm, basically everything when you're calm is better, I believe. Rational mind, calm mind, everything easygoing is, isn't it funny? Like, not funny, but, like a drunk driver, sometimes they're the survivors and they have very little injuries because they're just going with the flow. They're bouncing, they're really relaxed, right? Through the alcohol. But when we brace and those when the broken bones happen. So it's just, I know it's kind of extreme, but I think of it that way. When you're relaxed and flowing, you just kind of go with it. You're pliable and
absolutely. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an ugly picture, drunk driver, but I don't know. I just always have thought about that, and why is it's not fair, those guys. But anyway, but it does. The mind will do that too. It'll bring you to a place of calm, to where now the body will relax. So you're right. They're right there with each other. They work with each other. So the benefits of the body and the mind are, you can't say one is bigger, or you can't say they're equal, because everyone is different. And what are you bringing in?
Exactly. What are you coming in with? Exactly.
And then I say you feed what you need. So what do you need? I need to work some stuff out of here, man. I've talked to people. I was took my mom to visit an aunt yesterday, and she'll be 95, I think, next month. And she specifically said that she can remember everything in her life from about 5 years. I mean, vividly. And she was telling us about some things.
She's 95.
And she can remember everything. I said, I'm 50. I can't remember things 5 years old. I mean, I can't.
Sure. Yeah.
So she would be different.
Yeah.
I would love for her to get the thing. It's not going to happen. I mean, she's frail,
Yeah.
But I would. Well, maybe it can. I don't know. But imagine her in there. I mean, if she has vivid visions and recollections, imagine if she calms the mind. I mean, wow, who knows what's in there? So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's body, mind. The Epsom salts and magnesium sulfate gets in there and really just, it's overwhelming. You're ODing on it in a good way.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed what you were saying in terms of that kind of almost like pliability of the mind afterwards, where I find that after coming out of the tank, you're oftentimes looking at things in a different way, but very rarely are you like stressed or resistant to anything in life, which I thought that's been the biggest advantage that I've seen in it. What are some of the things that you touched on an interesting point, which I haven't had, but a close friend who was in the tank did, which are like visual people. So for people who don't know, the tank is completely dark if you want it to be, right?
That's one of the options, to have complete darkness, yeah.
And then the second option is just like a very moderate light, right?
It's like a beacon, wouldn't you say? In the bottom of the tank, it's blue, like a blue light.
Yeah, it's non-intrusive. You almost don't notice it unless you were were to really try and look for it.
Yeah, I leave it on sometimes when I float, and because I try to do everything in there differently, just all variations. But if the light's on, my eyes are closed, I can't tell it's on.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But
yeah, in that absence of light and absence of any vision, some people, you said, and I also had that, like I said, the friend who's told me that they'll have like actual visual imagination while in there. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and have you?
No, I've not actually.
Yeah,
I've had auditory stuff. I've heard noises. My mind would kind of make it's funny as a noise from my childhood.
See, that I've never heard.
Really?
I've had a few hundred people come in and out, and that I've never heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get into details with everyone. I'm sure there's people that can relate to that, but no, that's the cool thing about being in here for me. I always hear new things all the time. Cool. And but then you think about, let's take the real estate of the brain, right, or the mind. Yeah. Wow, man. I mean, it's vast. Can't even, right? I mean, it's fairly, I won't say infinite, but
we're nowhere near close
to
understanding it.
But it's pretty amazing, and the power that's in there. I mean, and the capabilities, but to be able to tap into those powers and capabilities, and why not? I mean, so that's pretty cool. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it was like comically realistic. Like I had to realize that I was hearing it rather than, it was cool. It was very cool.
No, I like that.
What type of things do people usually kind of report to you? So when you get out of the tank, you just have a conversation. Scott's a very friendly, very sociable guy.
Well, I don't dig anything out of you guys, but I offer you water, and then if you guys like to talk about, I mean, cool. But I don't. I used to ask, "What did you like the music? Did you like the light?" And I'd have a checklist. So next time you came, I'd have it dialed in.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to take you guys out of that state of being. Mm-hmm. Bring you back into the mind thinking. Just want you to just roll with it. And then too, you like the music this time, and you like. You like the silence and you like the light, whatever combination it was, you shouldn't lock into that. You should try different things. So, I stopped doing that. But when you guys come out, I mean, of course, if people start talking, I mean, this conversation could be after a float, the one we're having now.
No.
Because sometimes they end up being like this, and we start talking about all kinds of stuff, right?
No.
So it could be this. I mean, you could have just come out of the tank, and we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty cool, man. This is kind of like, this is pretty much like that for me.
It's very similar.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
What are some of the experiences that you've heard? So obviously people, like I said, had moments of kind of like imagining or my mind creating noises. People have had visuals.
Right.
What type of? It's hard to narrow it down, but
for me.
So. Yeah, actually, let's talk about yourself. Yeah, that way we don't.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Did you?
No.
Do you want to know general?
General and yourself. That'd be great if you're.
General would be boring, to be honest with you.
Okay, let's talk about yourself.
No, but I'll tell you why. If I talk in general, only because there have been so many stories, and so for example, just a very most recent example, you told me about auditory episode in there, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, that's new. That's so cool. I'm always hearing these new things.
Yeah.
I really don't register.
Yeah.
I can tell you one guy that came in, and then I'll tell you about myself. So, I mean, it's not an exciting story, but I thought it was really cool, though.
Yeah.
A guy comes in here. Okay, a lot of people have things about space,
sure,
galaxy, universe, and I don't know. Is there a connection? I don't know. A primal thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
So this guy comes in. He had booked an appointment, shows up, and he says, I asked him, he floated before? No. He goes, you know what? I don't know anything about this. I haven't done research on the internet. I haven't seen movies. I don't know anyone that's done it. I just somehow felt like, let me try this. So he's probably an adventurous explorer, right?
Yeah.
But this guy is not, self-admittedly, he's not religious. He's not spiritual. He's just a regular guy, right? I mean, not into anything, really. I mean, noteworthy, like, according to him. So he comes out of the float. He's sitting in there, and he says that it was so wonderful that it was all vivid to him. Because remember, he was an astronaut. I'm imagining in a suit.
Yeah.
That he was floating through galaxies, just calm and pleasant, just nothing. He wasn't scared, but it was a void. Mm-hmm. It was just the ultimate void, right? Floating. But then he said he went by a black hole, and then a wormhole, and then he went by and like spun Saturn. Yeah, really cool stuff. And he wasn't afraid. He was invited to go through this black hole, and I took them to another area. And, whoa, what world is this? But it was all good. It wasn't. There's nothing scary about it.
No.
That's the one thing I'll tell you that I've never even heard of anywhere else a scary experience or a bad trip.
I can't even imagine.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But in a way, I'm kind of thinking, wait, there's had to be one.
Yeah. It's
had
so
to be
calming though, like you said. Maybe it's the salt.
Yeah, it's the calm, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's true. I was thinking about that recently. How because someone would say, well, has anyone had a bad trip in there? But this guy, he was talking about LSD and ayahuasca and mushrooms, and I thought, maybe on that, I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but I've never heard of a bad trip. I've heard of people overdoing on edibles, maybe, and they get nauseous.
They'll get in and they'll
yeah, like I recommend for your first time, don't even, just go with the experience. You know.
Yeah.
I don't discourage it later, but I just say that, try it. Try it first. It's like my wife. She hates when I bring her up, but she's not so bad anymore. But I remember when we first started, we were friends and we dated, so I knew her pretty good. She would always put salt on her food, and my dad did this too. Salt on the food before she even tasted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? You don't even know if it needs it, and I don't know if it was a habit or just this lust for sodium.
Yeah.
She doesn't do it really anymore, but to me it's that same kind of thing. You don't even know that you need that before you get in the tank. Just float. You probably don't need to, chomp on some mushrooms or do a couple stems or a cap. It doesn't matter, so try it. So, but after that, I mean, I'm sure the people that smoke in their cars before they come in.
Before they get out here.
Yeah, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe last night someone smoked right here and left the pipe on the tank, or it's just certain people, certain things. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, but the first time I just recommend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I can see how it affects you.
Yeah, but people are very respectful. I'm in the next room, and I've never come to find anything damaged or I can't smell something from the other side, whatever it may be. So people are really. That's one thing. I get really cool people here. Just. Not that it's uncool to smoke in here, but people are very courteous and nice, and usually, handle it, somewhere else. But yeah, first time no. But after that, I mean, yeah, it's about the only time I really smoke now is before I get in.
Before you're in there.
I smoke CBDs though. I don't smoke THC anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so non-psychoactive almost, but it's very physically relaxing.
Are you kidding me? It's a perfect marriage for that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to always say, I'm not promoting it, I'm just telling you. But no, I'm kind of promoting it now because, it's perfect.
Yeah.
No, it really, it's, it's like peanut butter and chocolate or peanut butter and jelly. I mean, peanut butter goes with a lot of stuff, but,
That's cool.
Peaches and cream, man. So, it's something, all right. So,
so actually, we were talking a little bit about your experiences before getting in the tank. Let's talk about what you experienced in the tank a little bit.
I'll tell you about one.
Okay.
Because it was the coolest one, and I don't know what it was. I mean, I didn't analyze it. I just kind of, at first I tried and I went with it. What happened was, I had a buddy of mine that we decided, hey, let's float on the blood moon. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what happened to me. So we kind of split the time between the height of the blood moon. So he got the first half, I got the second. I'm in there probably only like about 40 minutes. And so I'm in regular flow position, just laying there. It's all dark in there, pitch black, no sound, anything, right? And I felt like, okay, it's time to come out. I didn't have any dreams or, nothing happened. And as I get up to reach for the door, I saw my hand, pitch black, but I thought I saw my hand. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, it can't be that. So I put my hand down. I laid back down, actually. Just kind of like my eyes open in the darkness. I'm awake. I'm not dreaming or anything. And I go, hold on, let's try that again. But I'm processing everything as far as it's dark and it's pitch black. There's no light. I'm looking around. No, it's just, I couldn't see this hand. So then there's my hand. And in my mind, I know motor skills, right? I know what my hand's doing. I know that I'm doing this and I'm following it. The difference was it was glowing green. Okay. Like a fluorescent green. Yeah. And then, like in slow motion, I'm doing this, I'm following it, and then I follow my arm, and I'm green, man. I'm green all the way down to about my knee, because the rest of it was still underwater. I was just sitting up. Okay. And I was glowing. Huh. Almost like one of those, like a glow stick.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was happening.
And was it synchronized with what you
No,
were
exactly.
physically doing. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Cool.
that's what I'm saying. It was totally synchronized in pitch black.
Yeah.
But and I could see it. I couldn't see details as far as pores and hairs.
Yeah.
But it was clear. I could see. I could see my hand and my arm, and it wasn't like a blur. I mean,
Yeah.
but it was glowing, and I just was doing this, and I just washed it, and then it started dissipating, and it went away, and I started thinking. I started getting out. I thought, what did I eat today? What did I eat yesterday? And what did I do? Well, you know, I was trying, and then, but that lasted about 2 seconds, and then I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I have a history for analyzing everything and wanting to know why, because maybe make it happen again.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it as, wow, that was really cool. And I don't know what it was. I can't explain it, but really cool.
Yeah.
That was probably the craziest thing that happened to me. But I'll tell you, about 4 months later, it wasn't the blood moon, obviously. 4 months later, a guy came in, he came out, and he told me that he was glowing. And I go, what color? He said green. I'm like, wow. And I told him that. I go, the same thing happened. So I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
Could be some scientific explanation. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I get orbs a lot. No, people tell me I don't see them, but they can see orbs creating geometric shapes, purples, a lot of purples, oranges for some reason. I don't know, but people get that.
Yeah, it's fascinating what your mind tends to create and how there seems to always be a theme of it. You know,
is it creating
across
it,
people,
or is it allowing it to come out? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
It would be interesting to wonder if we're just sort of all of that is going on in our visual field all the time, and we just blur it out and focus on like conversation and scenery.
I choose to think that way.
Yeah,
that it's all going on all the time.
Yeah,
but without distractions, you can actually be a part of it or at least see it.
Yeah.
But that's what I choose to think anyway.
Yeah.
That's a bit more romantic than just, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, we are creative. I get that.
Yeah.
But
well, there's like that very real like well documented phenomenon where we accommodate for the vision that we're lost in the middle of our eyes, and we so
yeah,
if that's happening, who knows what else is happening, right?
I'm sure a lot more. We get back into the mind again, right?
Yeah,
that's another podcast for you.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But that's my best, or I'd say most eventful experience, you know. But I don't get a whole lot of the mind like you guys. Body all the time. That's I tell people, if nothing else, that's a given. You're going to get the body.
Yeah, you're going to feel relaxed.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yep. So actually, going along the kind of subject matter of mind, when did you start floating? When was your first exposure to it?
Well, approximately, probably come up on a couple of years ago.
Okay. Can you talk just a little bit about what that first experience was like?
No, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good?
Well, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't a bad trip.
Yeah.
But I ruined it by, and we'll get into this, the reason I'll ease into why it wasn't good. So I worked for Edison for almost 20 years, like just 18 plus years.
People outside of California, Edison is the equivalent. It's like an electrical company, electric supply.
Yeah, electric utility supplier for this area. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for all those years, and wasn't happy there for the last few. And I knew that layoffs, cutbacks, reduction in force, however you want to term it, that was coming up. And they offered a severance package, and took it, and I ran out the door, and never once looked for a job.
Okay.
Because I knew that it was going to take at least a few months, like, you know. I've been working since I was 12, right? I started working when I was 12 years old in the family business, but I loved it. I always liked working, always liked making money and all that. But anyway, so I left there. I knew I was going to have to do something, but I didn't really want a job with a time card to punch in. Didn't want a boss. I really didn't want a supervisor. I don't want to be supervised.
I feel like an adult, yeah.
Well, yeah, I want to be productive.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try to get into something a little more creative. Not that this is creative, but this allows me some freedom to do that while you guys are floating. I get a whole probably hour and a half to be creative out there while you guys are doing this, right? So anyway, I didn't want to get a job, but I knew I had to do something. Too young just to pack it in, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice, but I can't do that. Yeah. So I was attending massage school at the time, and one of the instructors was talking about all different types of things related to body and wellness, and she mentioned floating. Had no idea. Went home that night, got on the internet, and very first video for some reason. I just clicked. I knew who Joe Rogan was.
The
Fear Factor,
the
UFC fight commentator.
Runs a podcast, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's very popular.
Yeah.
So this was before the podcast. Well, no, not before, but it was aside from that.
Okay.
And someone had taken his words from a podcast and spliced together this probably like a 2 or 3 minute video. It's pretty famous now, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty much just a verbal description of floating with images, okay? Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But in part of that, he was talking about how you can get in there and work things out, and without distraction, you can really do some work in there and work on yourself and see things and, you know, get answers. And so I was at that point of a crossroads because I knew I was going to massage school, but I knew I didn't want to do that for a living. Mm. It was really nothing else that was approved for me to still get unemployment, as well as it was a list on the state of California. And didn't want to be a welder or a nurse or, you know, computer repair guy, which is probably actually a pretty good thing to do. Yeah. So I took massage school, and it was paid for by Edison. So anyway, heard about it, got online, heard Joe, and decided, okay, I'm at a crossroads. I need answers. So I booked at the Float Clinic in Torrance. I booked online. And I'm leaving out the boring details. So I'm in there, hour and a half session. I'm floating. And not soon after I got in there, no, I'm sorry, very soon after I got in there, not long after I got in there, I'm laying there, and I remember I'm saying, okay, I'm ready. What am I going to do? You know, which direction? Come on. And I'm not seeing anything. Come on. And after about an hour of that, I think I probably fell asleep a couple times, which felt great. But after about an hour, I remember floating in the chamber and really just thinking, like, I want to come out. Not because it felt bad. It's just like, it's not really doing much for me. I'm ready to come out. But I paid for an hour and a half. So I hung out for an hour and a half in there. And then they notified me I'd come out. But I remember leaving thinking, okay, I tried it. It's okay. See, I didn't even really enjoy it 100%, even the body, because I was just waiting for something else. No. I thought, it's okay. And I tried it. But now I've got to go back and figure out what am I going to do. Mm-hmm. But it was, I think it was, something sparked me in the tank. And then as on the way home, I thought, hold on here. I got home. I thought, you know what? There's not one of these in Ventura. And I've been driving to Torrance because I went a couple more times. And I said, you know, let me look into it.
So you went multiple times even after
I tried it again.
That first. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What was the second experience like?
It was a lot better because I just didn't think of anything. So then I got hooked. So I've done it a few times now, right? But then that's right. Then I come back, I left that out. I come back to Ventura. I'm thinking, well, this sucks. I'm driving to Torrance.
Would you talk a little bit about the ones that got you hooked? Briefly.
The floats that got me hooked?
Yeah.
Not visions, but I let go. I surrendered. Yeah. And it was the relaxation.
Yeah.
So still no visions. Well, except for I think the final time before I came back home and decided to do this is when I got the vision.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much a vision that, oh, I get it. And it was all categorized and laid out. And I saw everything. I didn't see this place like, you know, psychically like, oh, but I did. I knew I wanted tile. I wanted this kind of paint here. Sure. I wanted the layout and even the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did kind of see it.
Like a supreme clarity of mind. That's how I would describe my experience with it. Because I'm not someone who's ever experienced visual stuff either. But
yeah,
I think it's interesting. You said that when you sit there and expect stuff, you just sit there and like you said, kind of resist what's actually happening. Which is if you just calm down, focus on breathing, focus on the sensations, your mind wanders.
Focus on not focusing.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only intention is zero intention. Don't have any. That's where I screwed up.
Yeah.
But then I went back.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I can't say I had a shitty first flow, but it wasn't. Looking back, it was because I didn't just let go and let happen what was going to happen. I tell people this is the chance for your mind and your body to say, look, give up control. Let me take over. Body saying, I'll tell you where I want to be, and you'll know. Oh, wow, that's it. Or, oh, okay, yeah, thank you. And let the mind go and let it just do its stuff, right? So when you reboot your computer or you run software to clean it, whatever you got to do, that's what to me, that's what your brain is doing. It's like, okay, let it take over and do what it has to do,
Sure.
which sometimes is nothing at all, right?
No.
Just a break.
No.
Yeah. So that happened the third time I saw this, got back home, and I'm just like, okay, well, how much do these cost? And well, first I made sure there weren't any in this area. And I pretty much already knew that because I kept going to Torrance. But then, yeah, one thing led to another. And really, literally, I just started with a tank. That led to a shower, the mainstays, right? Can't do it without those two things.
Sure.
And then the office and the furniture, all that crap comes in. But yeah, that was it, man. It was, but through the clarity of that when I finally just really let go and I got it, that's when it happened. That was the big float.
That's when you decided this is. I like how you put that.
What's that?
The big float.
The big float, yeah, it was.
So that was sort of. So while in the tank, you kind of came to a clarity that was sort of really led you down a very different life path from where you're headed on.
Oh yeah, and you know the cool thing about that?
Yeah.
You tell me, where am I going to be 5 years from now? 3 years from now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah. Now, is that what your personality was like before, or not?
Inside.
Okay.
But being a single dad back in the late 80s, early 90s, I didn't even want to work at Edison. And it wasn't I was a painting contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. But my dad was ill, living with me at the time. He said, you need to think about benefits and this. And I heeded his word. And I was at home one day, and I wasn't painting. It was a rainy day. I didn't have any work, which is kind of cool sometimes in construction. Guys like that because, I get a day off, unless you need money. But so I was home, and a buddy of mine called me, and he says, hey, man, Edison's hiring, I said, cool. Let me know how it goes,
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, he's the type of friend that he could never do anything on his own. So he's like, well, go down there with me. I go, I don't want to work for Edison.
Yeah.
Peter readers, I see those guys walking. They're never smiling. They don't look happy. So I don't want to do that. So he says, I'll buy you a lunch. I go, all right, let's go. So bought me a lunch. We go do this. Well, I was one at the time. I was one out of 400 people they hired.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. One out of 400.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't hire. They tried to hire me. I got a notice saying you passed a test. Steps go along, and then they said, you want a job? It's in Thousand Oaks. And I was still painting, right? And they said, no, it's cool. I just went down there with a buddy. He bought me lunch, but thank you, but I'm flattered, right? No, but no thanks. Are you sure? No, I'm good. I don't want it. Okay. I was living in Ventura, right? So Ventura to Thousand Oaks is about 20 minutes away on the 101. Okay. So then they called me about a week or two later and said, hey, I know you don't want to work for us or whatever. It's kind of like when you turn down the prom queen.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe it. I'm going to nail this guy because I can't believe he doesn't want me. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I felt like that. Like, really? So there's, 399 other people, whatever number. I mean, sure, there's a guy in there.
Yeah. So
they said, so I was living in Ventura, as I said. They said, we got an opening, but now it's in Ventura. Because I think the first time I told them, I don't want to drive to Thousand Oaks every day. Yeah, well, I don't want to go over there. So they said, well, now we've got in Ventura. And that job, the service center from my house was like 3 minutes in a car. I could rent a bike there. Really nice. But in the meantime, in that, a couple of weeks when I turned down the first one, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, he didn't say, oh, you fucked up. He was just like, if any opportunities like that arise again, you should really think about it, He didn't have anything for me. I mean,
he was kind of steering towards like the safety aspect of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And safety or security, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big drive for most of our culture.
Well, especially if you have a kid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If I didn't have any kids, I don't care.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't even know if I'd be living here. I mean,
Yeah.
But you build foundations, and foundations are hard to just relocate,
Mm-hmm.
So they call back, and by that time, like I said, my dad was already, put it in my ear, like, you should think about this. 401k. I was, okay. So they said, we have in Ventura now. I said, yeah, I'll try it out. Yeah. So I was there for, 18 plus, yeah. And it was great for a while, and then it just seemed like we went from a company to a corporation, and, I need you to do, hey, Nathan, I need you to move that chair over here, can you, I would love to, man. And we're buddies, right? But the way the system is, yeah, but you need to go give it to that manager, and he's got to, I always reference the movie Office Space.
Yes, that's how you describe it.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, come on. How many cover to the TPS cover sheets of the TPS reports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was turning into that.
Okay.
And it was so frustrating. It was for me, especially. I mean, a lot of people, but I remember people telling me in the hallway, "You're leaving on your own. What are you doing? You're crazy. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And the good feeling though, I said, I have no idea. I might do a food truck. I mean, at the time I was thinking about that, and different things. But see, the whole thing about being secure in a corporate cubicle type setting, it is secure for a paycheck. I looked at it the other way after a while. I was making good money there, but I looked at it like this: like, well, I feel like instead of it being secure and there's always a paycheck, well, that's true, but that's also a bad thing because I felt like I was always complacent. And maybe you don't want to get a part-time job with something that, guys are, yeah, overtime. No, I like my free time. I don't want
You don't want to work
overtime.
60
Yeah.
hours. Yeah,
Overtime's overdoing it time, right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, if you need it, well, you're in over your head. Why'd you buy the Harley and the boat and the house and, and then you're stuck. Now you got to work just to pay shit off.
Yeah.
So I never liked that. So, yeah, man, it was just like something where I felt like a secure job was counterproductive. False sense of security because now I'm locked into so much a month. And then you always spend according to what you make as far as, I don't care if you're making 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, you're still pretty much like everyone else paycheck to paycheck because you built up debt.
Yeah.
Nicer things, right?
Sure.
Well, I felt like instead of that being secure for me, it was a ceiling over my head. Like I couldn't break through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like all the money's out there. Mm-hmm. At least as much money as I want to make or, needed or didn't want to make, whatever. I mean, but it's open out there. We're inside this box, and you're just going to get what you get.
I think an interesting point I was reading before coming over here was just some random book, but it's talking
about... You read random books all the time?
Random books. No, all right. It's a book called Freedom from the Known by Jiddu Krishnamurti. He's like,
awesome.
And he's talking about the nature of security and how security is just this illusion of the mind because ultimately... say a secure job with an electrical supply company.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, that's secure, but you never know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You could spend a decade of your life in that position, kind of wondering one foot out the door, mm-hmm. saying, "Oh, it's secure," but then ultimately, they still might lay you off at the end of that
exactly.
time period. And you really never know when that's coming. So it's interesting to look at it that way.
There was
a false sense of security.
So it was a theory or philosophy?
It's a philosophy.
Oh, good. So
philosophy.
It's more concrete. I mean,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely felt like, don't want a job. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm telling you, man, this is still, I feel like pretty much every day I'm rolling the dice. This is a gamble.
Yeah.
But it's the journey, man. I'm not even like a spiritual guy, but I'm telling you, but the journey is everything, man. You have to take the so-called bad with the good. It's unrealistic to think that everything's going to be good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the bad is that's what you're supposed to eat right now. It's like that's going to strengthen you, and it's where you learn. And I don't think I want an easy life.
No.
I want a realistic life. Practical.
Sure.
And that's what I've got right now.
No.
So this place is not really making money, but I'll tell you, it was a big deal. People out there can probably relate to this. So new in business, less than a year, right?
Yeah, you've been less than a year, yeah.
Yeah, I did some stuff before, importing from China and different stuff, right?
Yeah,
so I've been in business. So I was trying different things before I opened this.
Sure.
I wasn't just sitting around for when I got it off.
Obviously.
Yeah, I was doing other things.
No.
But forming an LLC from the beginning, mm-hmm. just about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, let's say. I'm only caught up on time right now because taxes just got done. I'm like really keeping track of time, but I need to let that go too. Yeah. So not that long ago, I mailed in my yearly check to the state of California for the $800 LLC.
Sure.
Okay, every year I've got to do that. This was the first year I didn't have to come out of pocket.
No.
Came out of the business, wrote a check, sent it in, and it wasn't like, oh shit, it's going to be tight now, because no, like it's really growing.
No,
I love to tell people that when you start, give yourself time. Like, I mean, if you don't give yourself at least, well, standard businesses, I don't know, you open a liquor store or, or a gas station or a market, demographics, yeah, people are going to shop here, you can figure those things out. But a float center, how do you know? I mean, I thought, well, am I going to gauge off people are into yoga, people are into massage, people into body stuff, mm-hmm. sports. Mm-hmm. You can do that, but still not guaranteeing that, oh yeah, all those people are going to come here.
Yeah, it's not a known commodity by any means.
Exactly.
Like
Still on the fringe.
like a chiropractor or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, still rolling the dice, but less than a year, it's gone from me supporting it out of my pocket to pay for rent and everything, to it being self-sustaining, paying for itself, to now where it's actually it's growing as far as not leaps and bounds, but very, very, very healthy cushion. And I say very, very, very because coming from where I come from, but yeah, you just got to give it time.
Would you attribute that to people? Or do you have a lot of people returning to float over and over again? Because I can never, after having been in here, I can never imagine not doing this at least once, twice a year.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Okay, for example, I mean, from your example, to once again, this person last night, she booked again for Saturday, less than a week, right? And says that at least once a week she's doing this. I have people that do it anywhere from 1, 2, 3 times a week, but okay, there's one person that comes a couple times a week. Well, actually, she was doing 3 times a week, and now she's weaning off. But that's a good sign because she's been through some major trauma in her life, mentally and physically, near-death experiences, and this is the one thing that's helped her to where she is weaning it off. She's once a week now, and she may. I mean, hopefully for her, she'll be at once a month. I don't know, or every other week, whatever. But she just loves it, and she's found her place that she can do work. So, to me, this is not a magic box. It's not going to be that way for everyone. But I like to think about the wheel of life. And in that wheel, of course, you have the hub. You are the hub. But from that hub comes different spokes, right? You could have 5 spokes. You could have 100 spokes. This is just a spoke in the wheel. So this is a spoke. Maybe getting a massage is a spoke. Maybe getting hydrocolonic therapy, or that's a spoke. Yoga, nutrition. I mean, but you got to have more good spokes than bad. You can have bad spokes in there, right?
Sure.
But you got to make sure you have a lot of good spokes. So this is just a spoke. That's all. The way I look at it, it's just a spoke in the wheel. It's that's what it's something to add.
What would you say? Either personally or what people kind of pass back to you? What do they attribute in their life to the spoke? You know what I mean?
No. Attribute to their life. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's poorly worded.
No, it's okay.
No. So like, what type of I know for myself, coming out of here, I experienced significantly more mental clarity and was able to make decisions based on not on what I would have considered like the conditioning of my previous life experience.
So you mean you're a bit more rational when you come out? Or?
Yeah, a little more rational, maybe a little bit more just kind of like lucid in thought. Like you're not looking at the world through like preconceived notions based on like experience.
Right. Conditioning.
So along that same vein, what type of things do people say that it has contributed to their life or aspects of their?
Just what you described. I mean, exactly. I mean, because I have there's writers that come in here. Stuntmen, or as a stuntman, but that's more of a body thing. But I'm trying to think of other people. For myself, I can just tell you that, and this is what I hear a lot too, is calm. Yeah, I won't get into it, but I was attacked, physically assaulted, this past Saturday, so just a few days ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I defended myself. It happened here. I'm not here at the float center, but just
in town. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and but the one thing that I found was pretty interesting was that my heartbeat did not go up. I stayed as calm as I am now. I was kind of like even just like kind of laughing about it, like, man, what are you doing? Like, look what happened. I mean, So, for me, I always look at that, how I feel so calm, even in the most stressful situations. I feel like I don't have to get worked up, or, I mean, even being attacked and defending myself, that aside, even in traffic, get someone driving by like this, I'm just like, all right, I mean, I don't even know you, man. I mean, that's your deal. Go ahead, It's like, I don't get, I do, I'm human, but I don't get worked up anymore, not too much. Or it's a quick reminder, like, you know what? It's not even worth your energy to reply, or, Yeah. So I just, overall calm.
Yeah.
Not just when I leave the tank, but I think the more often you do it,
The more
it just works on you,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a habit, right? Even without the magnesium,
Sure.
you're just kind of used to saying, oh well.
No. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and worrying never helps anything, or elevating. It's I don't see that it does.
No, I've never
You know what I
seen
mean?
it really be beneficial. Yeah.
Pretty basic concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Or
I just
lost on a lot of people, myself sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just feel. I mean, yeah, calm, man. Calm is calm. Yeah, it's a feeling, but um, this is something that's definitely helped that. I've noticed that.
No.
Oh yeah,
Very
I've
cool.
noticed that. Yeah,
Cool. Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, let's. That seems like a great place to wrap up. Really.
Yeah.
What would you
On
say?
calm, right? On a calm
Yeah,
note.
exactly.
Wrap on a calm
exactly.
note. Yeah.
What would you say to people who are kind of they're somewhat interested, but they're nervous? Maybe they would get claustrophobic. They would, like you said, kind of sitting there for an hour and wonder, is this it? What would your advice be to someone who is going to try it for the first time?
Or I'll say sometimes I get let's just say, for example, something specific. A woman comes in here, and I use the word dragging because it looks like that, dragging her boyfriend or her husband, significant other, or a friend. And I look over at the guy, and I say, do you really want to be here? Not really. So I'll tell anyone, if you have any funny feelings about it, you shouldn't go in there.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't go into a swimming pool, or you shouldn't go see a scary movie, or you shouldn't take a drag off that cigarette or whatever you don't normally do just because someone says, hey, it's good or whatever. Anything like that you shouldn't do, right? But what I have done for people though, especially claustrophobia is a big word, but I'm finding out more and more it's nothing. It's meaningless. People
really
come in
is.
here and they feel like, I'm not belittling what people go through.
No.
Because
But, I mean, for the people who can't see it, but yeah, the tank is what, 8 feet by
8 foot long, 4.5 feet wide.
No, but it's more than enough space. You feel comfortable in there.
I've had 7-footers in there.
Yeah.
And I've had a buddy of mine, huge. He does the Highland games, the Scottish Highland. He's a
big
strong man.
Yeah.
Big. I don't know. He's probably like 420 pounds, but he's not fat. He's just a big.
Yeah.
He's a Goliath, right?
Yeah.
Probably like 6'3" or so.
Yeah.
6'2", 6'3". He's a big guy. And there's only 10 inches of water, and he didn't hit bottom, but he told me he was probably he was right there.
Yeah.
But enough room for everyone.
Sure.
But I've had people come in that have issues, and what I'll do is I'll schedule an appointment for maybe however long it takes, but usually anywhere from 15 minutes to a half hour, and I invite them to come visit first. And we sit in here and we look at the tank and we just discuss options and things that can make them more comfortable. So people that aren't really sure, I would recommend that you visit first, right? I mean, your first flow is going to be, I told everyone, it's a test drive, because you're just getting used to it and you're adjusting this and that, and you're going to get great benefit. But the next time you come and subsequent visits, you kind of refine and polish, and okay, I know exactly where I want to be, what I'm going to do, press play, and here I go.
Okay.
But I do get that where people have issues. But I think a lot of the people, alluding to what we mentioned before about being locked in there,
yeah, you can open the door at any time. It's very,
it's not that at all. But it is an issue for people. But it's funny, at the same time, I think every single person that has come in here with a claustrophobic issue has left with a huge smile on their face, saying, "Wow, like I feel good about myself. I got over that."
Mm-hmm.
So there's an option to leave the door open, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, every single time they end up saying, "You know what? After a couple minutes, I closed the door all the way, and I stayed in there, and I was fine.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to take an airplane flight, or now I'm going to go on a train."
Yeah.
Or some people have to have, believe it or not, a moonroof or convertible. They have it pretty bad in a car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't belittle it, but I do think it's something that you can overcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I really do. So,
Side effect.
I don't promise that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Yeah, it's a good side effect,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
That's
so
cool.
you can come in here and work things out.
No.
Some people don't want to be alone by themselves, period.
No.
I've had some people say, I'll never float. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, Charles Manson, but you're still in prison anyway, so you're not even...
Yeah.
I'm not bringing it over there.
I think that's a major advantage to the whole thing, yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, for us, we can speak for ourselves, but that is a major advantage. I mean, but I think there's a lot of people do not know how to rest.
No.
I ask people when they come in here, I mean, not everyone, but do you know how to rest? Do you really... And some people say, well, yeah, like, yeah, usually on the weekends. So what'd you do this weekend? Well, I read a book. I read a book by the fire, or, went down to Starbucks and I read a book, and, the beach. Okay, cool. Yeah, I watched a football game. Okay, soccer, whatever. I went to Dodger Stadium, saw a game. Oh, what'd you do? You relaxed. And so whatever people do, that's relaxing. Could be, but not like this. Because there's always external stimuli, right? Distractions, whatever you want to call them. When you're reading a book,
Sure.
when you're drinking coffee, when you're, hanging out with your buddies or going to a game. I mean, there's always that you just can't. But this is one of the few places that, well, maybe the only place without going to the Dead Sea where, well, even there's distractions there because it's outdoors, right? Okay, so being in a tank might, or a chamber or a pod might be the only way you can just be in a place where there are no distractions, but then you add the Epsom salt we talked about, the zero gravity, and it's unbeatable that way.
Yeah.
And some people get a different effect. Some people need it more. Your system just needs it. Other people, for some reason, they don't need iron as much or whatever. So some people maybe are more deficient, but you get an overload, man. And I don't care who you are, it affects you. Yeah, so it's really cool. I'm surrounded by it every day, man.
Very cool. My
environment is people coming out. Well, cool people coming in.
Sure.
A little bit cooler on the way out. Cooler because, yeah, man, it does. It brings a calming, relaxing feeling. But it's just amazing when people say, I've never relaxed like that ever.
Huh.
Maybe since the womb, which, can you really remember? I mean, there's some people do.
Sure.
But aside from that, it's really hard to find that kind of distraction.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's really harder for me to believe that some people don't want that, but
yeah, absolutely.
But there's no fear involved at all. Like I say, it's not a big deal. You're just soaking in water. Just happens to be zero gravity. But I always tell people music, light. I mean, and then just soak. Women do it at home in their tubs all the time. The difference is this has a top, right?
Sure.
And a lot of women, I get that. Wow, I love to soak at home in Epsom salts. But then the water cools because it's not heated. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's really to me. I would tell people that it's just a good way to have time for yourself. I tell people this is your time, so don't worry about. I'll come get you.
Yeah.
I always tell them two rules, two things I tell people you cannot do. You can't break these rules, and it's just a joke, but I'm serious. But if you can do this for yourself, is don't, and because it happens to everyone. People think about, especially with no music or total sensory deprivation, they think, I wonder how long I've been in here and what time it is right now.
Yeah.
And then from there you start thinking, okay, when I leave here, so you're not really doing yourself the best favor.
Yeah.
Be a friend to yourself and just convince yourself that this is my time. Yeah. The ringer's off. I made sure that no one knows or needs me right now for the next hour or so. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of hard for some people to do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah. Yeah, so physically help people out with any sort of maybe ache and pain they have. I know that's been one of the better ones. And then, a little bit of mental calm, clarity, time to work things out without all sorts of feedback.
Right.
Bombarding you, telling you all sorts
literally,
of things.
Yeah, endlessly.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah.
And thank you. Where can, if people are looking into floating, let's go first, like local. If people are around, can make it to Ventura. Where might they find information about you? Well,
the best way too is I love when people just call me and we can talk about everything. But it's the Ventura Float Center.
Ventura Float Center. Do you have a website?
And that's the same. Yeah, the website's the same. Just venturafloatcenter.com. Okay. My phone number is local here, 805-921-5114. But they can find that and the address on the website, venturafloatcenter.com. But that's probably the best way. There's a lot of good information on there.